And I think we're live, but there's always a lag, so we're probably not live. But no, yeah, I think we're live. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome back. This is a sort of a lightning chit chat, really, chit chat session with Evan and Coinicarus, who's going to be joining us fairly shortly, and Oliver from Lightning Labs to give us some updates on the new LND. And this is really just a catch-up, like all the amazing architecture and infrastructure which is being built within the Lightning Network. It's kind of hard to keep a track of it all. So this is just a sort of catch-up chit-chat session. Like I suppose you might compare it to a panel, a conference or something, but less formal than that. So yeah, no, welcome guys. And Coinicarus, get your ass in gear, join us. Even though we're live, don't be scared. So firstly, Oliver, just to kick it all off, I don't know if you're here he is. I don't know if you're ready to cover some of the updates which have happened in LND.
Yeah, sure. I can even share my screen.
Wonderful.
I just did a text file. It's the same that I already did this afternoon. So sorry if it's a repetition for some.
No, I mean, this is the point of partly the point of this stream is obviously the Hacksprint kind of carries that Congress ethos that over privacy and sessions not being recorded so much. So, but all this information is really important and interesting, and for people who are willing to put it out there on a live stream, this is kind of what the purpose we're fulfilling. So it's absolutely fine to cover the same content.
Cool. So I think I'm going to go over them a bit more quickly this afternoon, and then we can dive into the topics you're most interested in. If that sounds good. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk for 20 minutes and nobody else is going to talk, which is, maybe not the idea of a chit chat, right? So, and this is just for LND, but I'm happy to talk about the other projects I've been working on as well. So, yeah, just make this a spontaneous thing. Okay, so one of the big things that I'm very excited about is the experimental etcd support. etcd is a database that can also be run in a cluster, and the idea is to split off the channel database into multiple parts and have some of this data in a replicated cluster, which is great for not losing your data, right? So, but it's still experimental. It's not active by default yet. It still needs a lot of testing, but it's in there. The code is in there. You can start playing around with it. On the other side, if you are still using the database file, the channel.db, which is a bold DB, you can now turn on automatic compaction, which is basically just a sanity check and a one-to-one copy to reclaim some of the free space and speed stuff up. So I know this is greatly waited on by many people, so we finally have that. Some improvements to on-chain transactions. You can now label all your transactions. If you send coins manually, you can give it a label. You can go back through your chain transactions, label them individually, just so you can export this into accounting software. Faraday also makes use of these labels. And LND adds some default labels to stuff that it knows what it is. For example, channel opening, channel closing, sweeping. So these will get some additional information by default. PSPT has been upgraded. We're now, I would say, maybe an 80% PSPT compatible wallet. What we added is the funding, so coin selection and creating the PSPT. And the final step, the finalize, where you can add a final signature. And this, combined with the list unspent, allows you to do full coin control through the API, but also if you know how to use the CLI, through the CLI. So this is pretty useful. Another very big step towards anchor channels. So the missing pieces were actually just the watchtower support that was added. We also added the fee clamping, so these force close transactions will never be more than 10 sats per byte, I think, which is great for saving on-chain fees. And with ODA12, the default will be anchor set to true. So if both nodes are on ODA12, the default channel type will be anchor, which is great. Macaroons got some updates as well. The ability to bake custom macaroons with a specific key, so you can selectively revoke certain macaroons. So you can start distributing them among different keys and then revoke just some of them, which can be useful in a multi-application setup or whatever. And an important thing for all these cloud services that are popping up is that you can now do stateless initialization, which means LND will not write unencrypted macaroon files to the disk anymore. So everything that's on the file system on a cloud device, for example, is encrypted. So it's no key material unencrypted on the disk anymore. LND also tracks the flap rate of peers. So if your channel partner node goes offline and online and offline, we track this so you can detect connection issues and maybe bad peers that you don't want to keep a channel with. Another useful thing is that you can now add profiles to the command line. If you manage a lot of nodes, you either created an alias for all of them, or you always type the full host and macaroon and TLS path, and now you can save all of this to a profile, and LNCLI will just pick it up. And it also allows you to encrypt a macaroon file with a password, so for enhanced safety on the client side. TLS got some nice features as well. You can now do Let's Encrypt support for your REST and RPC interface. And if you do that, you have a trusted certificate, and therefore LNCLI doesn't need to have the certificate anymore, because it knows it can validate the certificate through the CA. So you don't need to specify the cert anymore. And then REST is important for many of the Tor related features and also some of the UIs and some setups where you have an entry server or like a load balancer that handles TLS anyway. You can now turn off TLS for the REST port if you're doing this on a local address.
Oh, that's so useful. That's going to be glorious. Yeah, I'm with all my little devices, and I'm having to put in the certificate and format it for my little microcontroller so it can talk. Oh, this is so good.
Yeah, it allows for shooting yourself in the foot. So you have to know what you're doing. So please think before doing this. I know TLS is a pain for most.
If I've got my node on my LAN and I'm connecting to devices to it, and then I end up making some like ngrok reverse proxy tunnel so I can get that HTTPS because I can't be bothered using the certificate because I know it's my node. I'm just connecting over LAN. This is really useful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just make sure there's no spies on your local network, and you'll be okay.
Well, I can't ensure that my network is full of them.
Yeah, or make sure you only use macaroons for specific keys so you can revoke them if something goes wrong or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nice.
That new revocation feature is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Awesome to see you guys making, especially you, Oliver. I feel like you've been leading the charge on all of the macaroon stuff. That stuff's extremely helpful. And I love how granular you could get with it, by the different functions and whatnot.
That was something we added in 11.1 that you can now bake macaroons for specific URLs, right? So you can be even more granular. Yeah. All right, I'm almost through the list. So next thing is Tor. You can now use Onion Neutrino backends, which didn't work before because of a bug. And you can now also specify the timeout. If you try to connect to a node, it used to hang there for like 2 or 3 minutes because it just took the operating system's timeout. And now you can say, okay, try for 10 seconds and then give up, and then I don't want to connect to this peer. This could be useful for many devs out there as well. We now have official, and with official I mean in the Lightning Labs repository on Docker Hub, we now provide images for AMD and ARM 64-bit. These are built directly from source and automatically, and we also plan to add some reproducibility into the build process, so everyone can verify the binaries inside the Docker images as well. We're not quite there yet, but we're very close with the release binaries, but I think we can use some of the same process for the Docker binaries. And then, yeah, just the last kind of safety feature. If you ever need to rescan your wallet, you used to need to download the external tool and then use that tool on your wallet DB, and it was complicated. And now you can just start LND with a new flag, and it will make the wallet rescan the whole chain from its birthday to pick up transactions that it might have missed. So, yeah. These are the high-level points. So, feel free.
I like the Let's Encrypt update as well. Does that mean that, say, the Blitz, for example, it won't have to do that for you? It can be done by LND itself. Is that correct?
The only thing is you need a DNS entry that points to your node, but I think you can do that through dynamic DNS, and it should basically work. The only kind of downside is that you need to have port 80 available, at least on your router. You can then internally redirect it to a different port, but it's baked into the protocol of Let's Encrypt that you must be online on port 80. So
nice. Now, I know this is supposed to be a chit chat, Ollie, but while I've got you, in the summer I had a little chat for the last Hacksprint. I ended up chatting to Alex Bosworth, and I was like, I've had this idea for a while. All that liquidity, which is sloshing around in Lightning, could it be used for something? Like, could you pull it together? And he got really excited and he wanted to say something, but he couldn't. And I know you guys have been working on the Lightning pool stuff. So how's all that coming along?
It's first of all, it definitely was hard not to talk about this before we publish it, because in my eyes it solves two of the big problems in Bitcoin, and especially in Lightning. The first problem it tries to solve is the bootstrapping problem, right? I'm a new user, I don't have any Bitcoin. How do I get to a channel? Yeah. And this can greatly help to improve this onboarding process. And kind of in the same go, it also provides a means to give Bitcoin a yield curve. So people that are sitting on too many BTCs and not earning any risk-free profit on it, they can put them to work on the Lightning network and earn some yield on them. So
that's the bit which fascinates me, is the risk-free part. Like, I know it's a big complicated explanation, but is there like a short summary of how that's possible? No.
I mean, of course, there's always the risk of some technical issue causing problems. But what risk-free in this context means no third-party risk, right? Yeah. Something like this doesn't even really exist in the real world, because the counterpart in the financial system up to now was like the government bonds. So these were always considered like risk-free. But governments maybe aren't always too easy to trust or don't never make mistakes. So this, it's not really risk-free. It's just very unlikely. And so with exactly. And so with the pool setup, what you do is you put your funds into a multi-signature account. So neither me as the user nor the pool server can spend these coins on their own. If the pool server goes offline, has a problem, whatever, I can always get them with a single signature out after time lock expires. So there's an account expiry, which is basically just the safety mechanism to get my funds off if the server isn't around anymore. But if I do agree with what's happening with my funds, for example, I want to sell some channels, then I can validate these orders, the batches, and if I agree as the client, can give my signature, and then I basically open the channel to some random person on the internet and get paid to do so.
Nice.
So nobody can steal the money in the process, neither the buyer of the liquidity nor the pool server, and that's what
so the UX for the user, it would be they say I want X amount percentage of my funds to be in a pool, and then they would get some yield for that being put in a pool.
No, it's a bit more specific. So first of all, you need to open the account, which is this construct I mentioned before. They need to send the funds to this account.
Yeah.
This is described in the white paper as lifting an UTXO. So it gets more features by putting it in such an account, and from that account you can then spend. And spend can either be I want to sell a channel, and then I create an ask order saying, I want to sell channels up to 5 million sats or whatever. And my rate for this is, I don't know, 10 bips or whatever. I haven't watched what the latest rates are. And then someone can come in on the other side, place a bid order. They also need to have an account because they have to pay for the fees, right? Or for the yield. They say, okay, I need 1 million sats of inbound liquidity. I'm willing to pay up to 20 pips. And the server matches these two orders. They overlap for 1 million. They overlap for 10 bips. And so the end result is a channel, a normal Lightning Network channel on the network that you cannot tell apart from any other channel.
That's super smart.
Well, you see it's a huge transaction with many other channels patched together, but apart from that, it's just a normal channel.
Such an interesting concept. I saw that Super Testnet actually came in on here now, and something which we're interested to get your take on actually was, have you heard of this hosted channels proposal by Anton of BLW? Have you heard of that?
No, not under that name at least. What's the concept there?
So I mean, I'm going to butcher it if I try it. Super, are you available? Can you give us a lowdown on what a hosted channel is?
Sure,
you'll do a better job than me.
Are you able to hear me? Okay.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So a hosted channel is a custodial account that you can set up with a Lightning node, and users of that custodial account don't have an enforceable on-chain commitment to the sats that they have in that channel. But what they do have is a state commitment that specifies essentially gives them something that they can use to prove that the host of the channel committed to them having this amount of sats, and then if the host does an exit scam or something, they can use that state commitment to prove to the world, hey, this guy ran off with my sats. In addition, what a hosted channel provides is privacy, so that the host cannot tell where you're sending the sats, because the route selection, as well as the pre-image generation, is created by the client and not by the host. And so the host only has the awareness that sats are going somewhere, he's not sure where, by one of his users, which is great because it offers you some of the benefits of a Lightning channel, of a self-hosted Lightning channel, that is, with the benefit that you don't actually have to worry about channel management. That's something you can outsource to your host.
Oh,
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's great.
Cool.
I have a question about that. Now, how does that differ right now from the current implementation of the hosted channels that are in BLW on Android right now?
That is Anton's the guy who made BLW, and that was his implementation of his idea.
So now this would just be adding it to LND?
There is a proposal to add it to LND. I'm honestly not as privy with that proposal, but I assume that it is using LND's creating a wrapper for LND.
Is this
creates the same?
That's really cool. Idea. I'll have to check that out. I've really liked my experience with BLW on Android. I think it's quite a underrated wallet.
It's the most underrated,
especially for newcomers coming on and not having to worry too much about what your liquidity is looking like. It's great.
Cool.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna just chill BLW. It's the first wallet, I think, first Lightning wallet, and I think it's still my favorite. It's great. It's really functional, but something about it, it's just flies under the radar. People don't see it on the App Store. So sorry, Ali.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just interested in learning about the proof. I guess it's not a proof that you could enforce on chain, but rather just to the community or to a third party, or what does the proof contain or sign to, or do you know details?
As far as I'm aware, it is a signed message from the LND host, or from the Lightning Network node host, saying I owe this person, this many sats at this time, and then if the state gets updated after that, in a way that like derogates from that, both parties get a copy of the signed message, and that it's usable to prove. It's the only thing it's usable to prove is that you had some amount of sats that was owed to you, and now they're gone. After this timestamp, they're no longer there. Now, what you could do with that, I imagine, I haven't talked to Anton about this, but once I imagine this getting, like you could use an Oracle service that could do something like, these sats are really gone, and the Oracle could sign that message and then penalize the host. You could do something like that to distribute some of that trust. Although that idea just occurred to me, and I don't know anything about it beyond what I just said.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of implementing that. Obviously you have a trade-off in that there's no, direct retribution. You'd have to set up some other layer, but that is a really, really interesting setup for sure.
Yeah, I also like the idea of handing like a complete and final onion packet to LND and just telling it, hey, do your magic, send this, and you don't know what's in it. So it's kind of, I guess, how Trampoline would work in a way as well, but you're doing it to your local node. So it's, cool idea. Lots of good stuff in there.
Sorry. Coinicarus, how's it going, man? Are you with us?
Hello.
Hey. You've been busy.
Yeah, no. I've been busy with my 3D printer and stuff. Because I ended up getting a Prussia instead. But this is a Lightning thing. So I wanted to actually ask Oliver a question about the pools, and you may have already answered it, so I do apologize. But okay. You said that in order for people to participate in this, that they would have to set up an account. like on a specific website, or like what is that? Like they would have to then transfer their funds to this platform, or?
Yeah, so you need to download the pool client, or the trader daemon, as we also call it. It's just a tool that runs in the background and is connected to your LND. So the funds need to be in LND. And opening account just means to transfer some sats into a different script output. So it's governed by a 2 of 2 multisig with a timeout exit clause, so it can withdraw if the server goes offline. So it's just you put some sats into a multisig, and from there you can then spend them on orders. So it's completely pseudonymous. The only thing we need to kind of identify is this the same node as before, is an LSAT token. And of course, because you will receive incoming channels, the pool server will also see the node, Lightning node ID. But in theory, you could buy and sell channels for different IDs, so it doesn't necessarily have to match where your LSAT is paid from, and you can buy new LSATs all the time. So it's as pseudonymous as the setup allows.
Okay. So you're not actually transferring your liquidity off your node per se. You're just simply doing a small transaction, I guess,
yes.
in order to set up trust.
Yes, but you cannot use those funds with just one single signature anymore until the timeout expires or the account expires, right? So you need to withdraw from the account, or to close it, or to match an order. You need the signature from the server as well. But the good thing is the server also cannot spend the funds on its own. So it needs a signature from your node, right?
Very interesting. So have any of you guys set up the Spectre hardware wallet?
I've got
not the hardware wallet. I've really loved the Spectre project. It's like such a great way to set up a multi-sig quorum and get rolling. I think those guys have done a phenomenal job. It's like one of the best projects right now. Obviously, it's still in beta. There's still some bugs where I've been stumbling upon. But it's very promising. And the devices were so cool. The fact that you could just build it with off-the-shelf hardware. I really want to get around to assembling one of my own, but I just haven't been able to.
You know what? I bought all the parts and I sat there for like a month waiting because I thought that this was going to be like a big project, and I'm gonna have to really wire. I swear to you, man, it was less than 10 minutes.
Amazing.
Wow. Less than 10 minutes, I had this thing up and running, and I'm like, damn it, I waited that long for nothing. I'm doing the same thing. I've got it right here, and I still haven't plugged it in, and it's ridiculous because I hang out with Stepan a lot whenever we bump into each other at conferences, like because we're both like hardware dorks, and we get on really well. I feel terrible that I haven't even flipping used his project. It's crackers. It's crazy. But I've got the Spectre people there coming on tomorrow to talk about the specifically Spectre desktop, because it's not just the hardware wallet. They have this amazing desktop application as well. Well, these guys are on fire. It's totally killer. It's actually on the my node. It's on the Raspberry Blitz. It may be on other nodes, which I'm not sure of, so I do apologize, for not mentioning them. But I've set it up. Well, I started to set it up. I got it enabled. I added one of my hardware wallets to it. It's very easy. It's a simple interface, like it isn't confusing. So anyways, very cool, man. Like hats off to those guys. Those guys are totally killing it. I feel like they're like this kind of like one of those projects that just kind of fell under the radar and then exploded. Like people weren't really expecting it, and then it was like, holy crap, this thing's pretty amazing. And they have a do-it-yourself hardware wallet.
It's all the general crypto tools which are nice. It's like it's not just your Bitcoin hardware wallet. It's you can do all sorts in there. And again, that step, and it, not again, like I was saying with the JD from MoneySocket on the last talk, Stepan, he abstracts everything out. So he's not just building, this device to be used. He's building all the libraries behind this device, and then other people can use those libraries to build other shit. Like my Bowser wallet is built off his library, which he built for, not for this, but for something similar. No, in fact, I think he did build it maybe for the desktop, the desktop wallet, for doing all the Bitcoin stuff. And it's just like a slimmed down version of, a lot of the C Bitcoin libraries. So good.
Yeah, it's just great to see how far we've come with the multi-sig stuff. Just like in the past 6 months, it's been nuts. And like not only just, having the software like Spectre to coordinate it all, but also the devices have really come a crazy long way. Like we did have like a good degree of like an air gap with like the old cold card, right? But that still has like some physical component with the SD card. But now we have like Kobo Vault, which is a really cool device. We have the Spectre hardware DIY. Foundation is coming out with a device that's based off of the cold card hardware. And now Rodolfo just teased that cold card's going to have a new version that's going to have cameras too. So like the fact that you're able to do a multi-sig quorum with all these devices from different manufacturers and have it be like truly air gapped, and you're just using the cameras and the screens to like sign everything with PSBTs. It's like it's everything we really ever wanted.
Yeah, it's getting rid of that supply chain attack, isn't it? From just having one vent, you got a bunch of different devices with different secure elements in. Your Bitcoins are much more secure.
Yeah, of course. So if one manufacturer, the big defect gets found, your coins are still going to be safe if you have coins on that device, because you're going to get a multi-sig quorum where no one manufacturer has the majority or enough to
and
sign
and off the shelf, that factory which is producing these, it doesn't know that this is going to be a hardware wallet with Bitcoin.
That's the even bigger thing, that Spectre was able to put this together with off the shelf stuff. Like not having to worry about the factory for Kobo or Cold Card or whatever potentially being hacked. Like no, like you put together each component by yourself. That's incredible, and hopefully we get to see a couple more solutions like this. And imagine just like being able to like pick all your pieces and put together 3 different.
I was literally speaking to Stepan earlier today about the new M5 stack. I told him about the new M5 stack, which is brought out in collaboration with Amazon. It's Amazon Orange, aka Bitcoin Orange, and it's got a secure element built into it. So it's a microcontroller with a secure. It's destined to be a hardware wallet. Like it just looks like a fucking Bitcoin hardware wallet.
When did they come out with this?
This is part of they've got a new line of goodies which have come out like last week or something.
Oh my God, I got to go to their site.
Yeah, I got to check that out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then also with all the RISC-V stuff which is coming out for cheap hardware wallets, you'll be able to get a good hardware wallet, I think, in the relatively near future for like under £10, under $10,
Oh man, that would be a dream.
Yeah.
I think really that's been like the biggest, one of the biggest things. Like, what's the cheapest device you could really get nowadays? Like maybe the Open Dime, but like that's really only good for one address. So to get like an actual hardware wallet, cost, like forget about it. That's going to be a game changer. There's going to be no reason not to have one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great. All these little cottage industries, like CryptoCollux stuff, which with the cases and things and the 3D printing, all these little hardware wallet cottage industries will pop up, making little boxes for them, disguising them as all sorts of interesting things. It'd be great.
Yeah, it's cool to see that you can, that these tools are all built privacy first. So the Spectral, so you never give up your XPubs, you never give up your privacy. Nobody, like some company I won't mention, will have your full XPub, right? But just be careful where you buy the hardware wallet. So yeah, definitely build it your own and maybe ship to a PO box even for the M5 stuff. But
yeah, definitely as evidenced by the Ledger leak. You want to be very careful what information you're giving to these Bitcoin companies, whether it be a hardware wallet or like just like a merch, which in general is not a good idea to be broadcasting that you're a Bitcoin owner just on your t-shirt or whatever. So yeah, always be mindful of that, and always be mindful of the information that you're giving third parties, because trusted third parties are security holes, no matter, you know, how nice you think they are. So take whatever precautions you can to protect yourself.
Well, it doesn't matter how nice they are, does it? It's just how nice are the people who are wrench attacking them for that information.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, PO box is good. You know, doing a mail forwarder is a good idea. Not giving your real cell phone, or getting a burner account, maybe using an alias for your name. But you know, really, if you can, if you're buying one of these hardware wallets, try to get it at a conference. You know, God willing, we have some conferences back in action soon, and you know, now that you could assemble one of these wallets with just generic parts off the shelf, like, that's an incredible option as well. So consider that.
Yeah, I was talking to Leo of Wallet Scrutiny, which is a great website, walletscrutiny.com. He came on yesterday, and yeah, we were just talking about, you know, sort of Bitcoin wallet security in general, and he was saying how abysmal it is. You know, people depend on all these different libraries, and they don't really, you know, validate all these different libraries. It's absolutely terrifying conversation. But it reminded me of why we need to keep our Bitcoin secure. But one of the best pieces of advice he gave, which I completely agree with, and I've said before, is you shouldn't even have like ready access to your Bitcoin. You know, if you've got like a Bitcoin stash, which none of us have, I know, we don't have any Bitcoin, but for those people who, you know, those rich people out there who do have Bitcoin, if they've got a stash, like, they shouldn't be able to access it. It should take days to kind of like build that shit, you know, so you can actually access those coins. That's the best form of security. Obviously you have, you know, a kidnap stash as well. You can pull out and say, oh yeah, this is
well, you want to have your checking for your day-to-days, right? You got to think of it like a checking account, saving account. Your checking account, you might have enough for your expenses, maybe, you know, something to treat yourself. But you know, your savings, like you said, it should be like a multi-day endeavor. You know, if you can, multi-jurisdictions. You're going to cross borders.
I always imagine, you know, like
family,
like Harry Potter with the Horcrux, where he has to have the door, but he goes into that cave, and at the side of that, on that coastal thing, he has to go in and do the So that's what I always imagine pulling a seed together should be like.
You could get really intricate with it, but my advice to everyone out there is, one, you know, like, make sure you're comfortable with it. Don't be doing like the most complex setup.
Yeah, that's true as
well.
That's
for the sake of it, because one of the biggest instances of us seeing people lose coins is like complexity and people shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
So if you go through all of these lengths to make it very complicated, intricate, you know, first make sure you think it through. You know, make sure you have like the proper multi-sig copies in appropriate places, and then test it. Whatever your setup is, even if you're on a single key, make sure you test it. Make sure you do the recovery, because like a lot of people, they'll do backups of their data or their keys, whatever it may be, but they never test the recovery. So in whatever setup you're doing with sensitive data, make sure you do multiple test runs and make sure everything's working from end to end.
Yeah. How are you going with
to them every few years, so you're sure you still remember the process, and also have updated your instructions that you might have written for yourself? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you know, part of being your own bank is, you know, figuring out the security procedures for being a bank. You know, no one said that, you know, taking this financial sovereignty into your own hands would be a comfortable thing. So, you know, prepare to be a little bit uncomfortable, and prepare to be vigilant to test it, to, you know, take into consideration like forgetting things, losing one or two of the things, bit rot on devices, a device going bad. So, you know, with great power comes great responsibility.
I like Coinicarus. I like some of the stuff you did pretty early on with putting your Lightning node in like big secure boxes with like keys and stuff to be able to get into it. Because that's how I want my Lightning node to be. This is the thing which always concerns me about Lightning, is you have this very obvious machine in your house humming away. And it'd be nice to get to a point where, I don't know, they're kind of hidden as other devices, or they're stored somewhere which isn't so obvious, and it's locked behind something, because, you know, ultimately you have got Bitcoin on there, which you could access. So, are you still making those cases, Coinicarus?
I actually I stopped making them after finally when I 3D printed two of them. even though they were nice, the metal ones are really, I think, what people would actually want if they would want to secure those.
Yeah. That's what you should be making.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty expensive. I did a lot of digging, and even getting these off of like Alibaba or something like that. There's a lot of machining that has to take place once you get them, and I'm just not like, it's just not my background, you know. Like I did those cases for fun, and I enjoyed it, and it's cool. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized, like, okay, I'd have to make this a full-time thing, and I'm not ready for that.
And you'd probably lose a few fingers on the angle grinder trying to cut into those things.
Dude, I can't tell you how many times random pieces of metal flew into my face.
Oh no.
And of course you're like, okay, please don't take out an eye. I did.
It still went over.
They're still like find their way in.
Oh no, it's crazy.
So dangerous.
But with devices and security, I'm sure you guys have seen the big trend with like Internet of Things. Like all their appliances are connected to the internet, and it makes for a real shit show. I really don't recommend connecting most of these things. But I think it would be funny moving forward if some of the developers did a little homebrew action on these devices. And, in a couple of years, your LND node is not an obvious box in the middle of the room, but, the process is running on your smart fridge or your toaster or something. I think that would be a really funny thing to see play out. But,
That'd be funny.
There was.
Hey Alexa, pay 10 sats to someone. Like strip Alexa out of. Sorry.
Vivek had nodes running on little handheld game things. Oh, what was it he was using? The Nintendo thing, Nintendo Switch, I think. He had a project getting nodes running on those things, because his theory was that they're being made redundant as time goes on. Everyone's got these things in their house, and they could easily turn them into lightning. I like the idea of it, because like you say, it's not so obvious. It's just a little game.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of fun there. I mean, obviously there's a lot of problems with these devices being proprietary and trying to break into the firmware. But to the device hackers out there, there's an idea for a project. Put that fridge to good use.
Again, I was talking with Christian Rutzel way back when we started fiddling around trying to make hardware wallets out of the microcontroller things, and we were like, a lot of these, IoT lights you can change the color of, and you can connect to your Wi-Fi, and and you can get sensors to run on your phone and connect to your Wi-Fi. A lot of them use things like ESP32s, and it'd be quite a fun challenge to like go into the hardware store and then try and find one of these things and smash into it, and then see if you can turn it into a hardware. For like a post-apocalyptic technology smash and grab, turn things into hardware wallets experiment. So that's something we still need to do. Turn those IoT devices into Bitcoin devices. And again, you get around that supply chain attack then as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start looking into running LND on OpenWRT or some router operating system, because what's the one device that is always 24/7 and no burglar would ever steal, because everyone has one, right? So
yeah, that's brilliant.
I know it's controversial, but like I like Neutrino. And like, you shouldn't say that in public, should you? Like, I like Neutrino. I like Neutrino Connect on mainnet, but my struggle with finding people to connect to. Is there a list anywhere which has like decent Neutrino Connects? I know because Ollie very kindly gave me the Zap. I think the Zap mainnet one.
I don't have a list, but with Core 0.21 you can run your own, right? So you just point Neutrino to your own Bitcoin Core node running somewhere.
Yeah, I suck at all that stuff, man. I find it really hard. Like I want like a cluster of LND nodes, Neutrino nodes, all pointed at my my core, my Bitcoin core. But I just find it hard. Like I know it's possible, but I'm a doofus and I can't do it. So how do I get around?
That one time I downloaded the LND and ran it in neutrino mode, and it couldn't find any connections. So what I did was I just uninstalled it and reinstalled it and ran it again, and then it did find some. And I assume that it has a DNS list, and it selects randomly from them, or or it connects to them and then they randomly seed it other nodes, and the first time it just didn't find any, but after running it again, it did find some. So I don't know if that's a solution there.
Yeah, how does that work, Ollie?
Yeah, I don't even know how this discovery process works in detail, but I really hope that it will improve vastly once you can turn on the feature in Bitcoin-D, because now you still have to run BTC-D, right, which is, I think, a small minority on the network, but should get better.
I see. So that's Lalu's thing needs to get. So Bitcoin-D has they've kind of integrated that into Bitcoin-D, have they? So, and it's not yet though.
Yeah, you still have to actively turn it on, so it's not on by default. But I hope many people will turn it on, and then we can add those to the DNS seeds or whatever. So,
yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I look forward to that. The neutrino clusters, put a neutrino on everything. Right, well, we've gone for a while, guys, and it'd be great just to carry on talking forever. Has anyone got anything else we want to say, or should we call it a day?
No, I'm gonna do a quick plug.
For
Zeus Wallet, it looks like our bounty for Tor support integrated into the app is about to be paid out. We're gonna do some testing later this week, so it seems like Tor is gonna be integrated into both the iOS and Android version. So we're really excited. We're going to have an alpha for that out soon. The guys at Cypher Apps, I think they've been doing some React Native stuff. They made a new component a new NPM module called React Native Tor. So that means that Zeus, Blue Wallet, and Hexa should all be getting Tor built in natively. So,
dude, does that mean like in BLW where I have to connect to my Orbit thing? I won't have to do that. It will just do it.
So BLW is not a React Native app, unfortunately, but
So with Zeus, I'll be able to just connect to Tor directly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow, that's so cool.
iPhone
I think BLW already supports Tor, though, doesn't it?
It does. Does it? Well, when I used it, I had to use Orbit to use Tor. I had to connect it to Orbit. If searched for Orbit on my phone,
it probably does use Orbit.
Yeah, Orbit's a great tool, but it's not a great UX to have to use two apps. So the ability to get rid of that on Android and the ability for iOS users to not have to worry about doing like a VPN or
that's amazing.
A front for Tor like on the Raspberry Blitz is going to go a long way. So shouts out to Cypher Apps, and look out for that soon.
I always forget you work on Zeus. It's brilliant. It's great.
Yeah, thanks.
It's a great wallet.
Appreciate it.
No.
Yeah, that might be my one reason to switch over to Zeus finally, because of Tor support. So very well done.
Nice. I'm so pumped.
Yeah,
come bother me if you ever have any questions, whether it be on GitHub, Twitter, on our Telegram. Always happy to help. I've been sort of preoccupied with other Lightning projects that have sort of been brewing in secret. Hopefully I get to talk about them soon. But Zeus is also, I'm going to give a little bit more love to. We're going to get it on the iOS store proper. We're talking with Pavel next and the Bitcoin Design Group of perhaps giving it a facelift. And there's a couple of more features from L&D especially that I want to get in there, like coin selection and route selection. Just trying to have a really great comprehensive solution especially for users who run their own nodes.
Cool. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, great work, man. And everyone out there, give Zeus a whirl, download it and play around with it. It's great. Okay, so if no one else has got anything to say, then we'll leave it there. Make sure everybody, you like, subscribe, and share the content, obviously, and some really interesting updates, guys. And glad to hear you're all busily still working away on things. And I look forward to 2021 and all the fruits that it gives us. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you lot again. And to the audience, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Bye-bye.
Yeah, cheers.